Okay, now this area you can feel the wind more because we're in the middle of the garden now. We're away from the fence, but these low plants with the red plastic around them seem to be doing pretty well, although they don't get as much water as the pots over there. But these are also plants from seeds I got from Territorial, and they're supposed to be for small areas. Like this is actually for a pot, a Roma tomato that is meant to grow in a pot. But I ran out of pots, so I just put it in this part and hoped that the voles would not destroy them. And then I had, in my compost, I had evidently had some cantaloupe seeds. So they started coming up and I just left them. And here I already have a cantaloupe. So just when I come over here to water, and you see I also use...
Can you start over with it? And over here I have a cantaloupe.
Over here I have a cantaloupe, a fruit from a couple of plants. The seeds came up from the seeds in the compost pile. I had added compost to this area along with some straw. When I had my potatoes over here, I know you're not supposed to plant potatoes close to tomatoes, but I did it, and because these were leftover plants after I planted everything else. And these tomatoes are doing really well. I've got 2 of them under the red plastic, and then I put large vesicular basalt rocks around the other one to conserve energy, or conserve the moisture.
You could lift up one of those rocks. Can you get under it? And maybe start that sentence. I put the vesicular basalt lifting up the rock.
Okay, I put some large of the basalt rocks. It's, again, the vesicular basalt rock around the roots, and you can feel that it is very moist still. There's
maybe you can explain that word vesicular.
Vesicular just means it's a basalt rock formed in under volcanic conditions that have a lot of gases in the magma when it flows, and the gas escapes and leaves the holes or the pores within the basalt. And this is very similar to what happens on Easter Island as far as it's a volcanic island, and a lot of the basalt that you find in the rock mulch gardens are this type of basalt. And so when you water, I try to water the rocks actually and have them, they hold the moisture longer.
Kind of like a sponge.
Yeah, like a sponge. I don't know how much water it actually holds in it. I've never done the experiment, but I probably should someday weigh a rock before when it's dry and then soak it down and see how much water it holds. And another technique, a mulching technique that people had used, is to use just old newspapers. And
pull up this paper.
And so we only get the newspapers on the weekend, so I've started collecting them. It's hard, rather than recycling them into the mission, and put them down and you can soak them. But I think what I need to do, the technique actually calls for adding straw on top of this. And I had read an article like 20 years ago about somebody who laid down an inch of newspaper and then, put a couple inches of straw, watered it down, and then left for the whole month of July. So he wasn't there to water his plants. He went on vacation. I thought, well, that sounds like a good technique. I had used all my straw, however, in making the compost over the winter, so I just tried the paper, and it seems to be working well enough, because I have, actually this is a cucumber, which is not producing any fruit yet, but it seems to be doing very well. And then these volunteer cantaloupes, which are producing fruits.
I could hear someone say, well, isn't that colored ink with toxic substances or potentially? Is there any concern of yours on that?
Yes. I don't know how toxic the newspaper is. I mean, we use the newspaper to wrap food in and fish in and everything. And I'm not sure what the toxicity is. It'd be something good to find out. I don't use this widespread. This was just an experiment in this area and around this other cucumber plant. The cucumber plant itself is not doing that well, and I think it's just because it's not. I don't water this as much as I water the tomatoes, since I'm almost out of rainwater now at the very end of August. I have to increase my collection system.
Okay, let's move on.
Okay, do you want to see my collection?